the major accomplishment of that project, to make it brief but interesting, is that these are 15 villages that are basically deteriorating. And they're victims of a European policy that has decided, again, that's part of the European Union, that those villages should give up producing wine or producing their local products. They should do something else, or they should be abandoned. So there are 15 villages in a mountain, Troodos, which is a beautiful area in Cyprus. I don't know if you've been there, but it's beautiful. And those villages are basically becoming marginalized, and the Ministry of Interior, I think, or Ministry of Economic Development, I don't remember which ministry it is, decides that their survival or their capacity to sustain some level of um, you know, economic viability should be based on them becoming synergized, organized as an entity instead of being independent, to become interdependent, to become one entity, to become a system, in other words, of villages. Now, the minister is promoting that idea, but they don't accept it. They want to be independent. And for a number of reasons, that's the way the culture is. I mean, every village here, for example, here, these villages, they want to be independent of the village. I mean, they want to retain their identity and their cultural identity and their history. So when the minister is advocating that, they don't accept it. It's very controversial. And the academy, the Cyprus Academy for Public Administration, CAPA, the minister goes to CAPA, and Marios Michailidis calls on us to come and do an SDD for this challenge, this issue that confronts the Ministry of Interior, I think. And when we started with them, the most interesting thing about that is we were told that the villagers are, again, completely opposite to becoming a system of villages. So we designed a project, again, over a year. That project lasted a year, and I think we engaged a lot of people, maybe. I don't remember the details. She knows the details. Maybe 200 people over many collabs, collabs that were not only holistic but disciplinary or individual, or focused on areas, different areas, like a farm collab, an education collab, an energy collab. So the way it was organized, we first had a big group, and they identified, unfortunately, they started with the barriers. I was peripheral at that, so they did not ask me. They started first with the barriers. Then after the barriers, they identified areas of focusing areas, or areas that need to be more addressed more in a more disciplinary way. And they did 7 such collabs separately. And after that, we did a visionary collab. There's a report, many reports on that, and there's also a paper on that, the paper which is published or is going to be published. And finally, the most important thing about this story is that the villages who were against conglomeration to become a system of villages, both in their vision and in their barriers, identified the visionary statement was to become integrated, and it was a driver. The barrier to achieving the vision was overcoming the becoming a system of villages. So there was a convergence. The same part that was the driver for the vision was also the driver for the barriers. Those two things made it clear to them that the only way for them to survive and to become a sustainable entity was to agree to become a system of villages. So now the minister is very excited, very happy, because what he was proposing and it was rejected, this proposal now was adopted and was implemented by the villages. And the villages actually are now a system of villages. That's the end of the story.